Hey, welcome back. If you're watching, fantastic. Um, the idea, at least of the channel, I'm become an electrical apprentice, and I am almost 50 years old. I was kind of getting into some of the things that I've encountered, and I'll be getting into things that I've encountered on my journey to Journeyman, the old man's journey to Journeyman, if you will. I titled this, some of the things that suck, okay, about being an older electrical apprentice. And I wanted to get into those because I think that it's kind of important to recognize that there are some things that I have encountered just in my short time that are going to be challenges. They indeed do suck. First thing I'll get into is low wages. Um, the pay is not going to be good. It's right now. You're more than likely going to have a part-time job. You're not going to have any choice. You're either going to have to do part-time, if depending upon what your standard of living is. I don't know. Some people are able to, depending upon where they live. Obviously, you might be able to handle lower pay. When I say lower pay, we're talking about, sometimes people in the 15s to $20 per hour sort of thing. If you have a loved one that's willing to to allow you to go on this journey and to and makes the type of money, at least is able to provide to kind of help and kind of keep you all stable while you learn and while you grow, then that's a wonderful thing. Otherwise, you're going to have a second job. So some dash and do, Uber, what is it? Uber Eats and dashing. Those are things that sometimes I do have to do in, to kind of keep things going in the midterm. I have a mortgage, of course. My wife does make pretty good money, so that's obviously helpful. But obviously, I still need to be able to make my nut, or make our nut, as a lot of people call it. So that's one of the big things, is that the pay is not good now. My understanding, and from what I've seen, and other people have told me, is that the pay does increase incrementally over that 4-year period. You're talking about a 4-year commitment here, 4, sometimes 5 years. So the pay is not going to be super great for that period of time. It's something that I've had to really kind of set myself, kind of get my mind wrapped around. But at the same time, I do feel like there's a future in that, right? But the pay does suck. There's just no way around it. The pay's going to suck for that first few years. Like I said, incrementally, there's some the programs, like I said to you, the IEC program, which, by the way, I am in the one in Texas. There's others throughout the state. I have not throughout the state, but throughout the country. So if you look up IEC, you'll see lots of different chapters that are throughout. So you should be able to have access to this program. But like I said, pay sucks. Now I got into a little bit of this with my last video that talked about the physical demands, and that's a big one to consider. As I said to you, I feel like the work is super satisfying to, at the end of the day, to be able to say, you know what, I have something tangible that I can see, but it's going to take some time to get acclimated. Even over my small period, like I said, it's just been barely a little over a month. But I'll tell you, and it depends upon the person, of course, but I have actually kind of acclimated to, how the physical demands, and it's not, the first week or two for me was very hard. Knees, kind of thing. Um, Super dehydration. Like, if you don't figure out how to maintain and to keep resources around that are going to add those salts back to your body, that sort of thing, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good look. So that's one of the things I think that really does suck about the job, is that there's a lot of physical demands, especially as an older person. It takes us longer to recover. I have found that, I have a little elliptical machine here. I found that trying to do some exercises in between, it's hard. You're working so hard and you're so tired afterwards that it's hard to kind of pick up and say, you know what, I'm going to work out as well after being, tired. There are times, obviously, on the weekend that I found that I have to jump on, do some kind of cardio, whether it be going outside and using like a hand mower. I use a push mower. to to kind of keep my cardio up and trying to be ready for Monday when it's time to get back to work and to get back to such a physical labor. But it's gonna be tough. It's been tough for the past few weeks, and it's gotten better only in probably not the past, almost kind of this third week of things. So just want to just kind of put that out there. I also wanted to bring up one of the things that is going to definitely, and this is kind of a hard one. I had to tell my wife this one. It's hard to tell somebody this, but you're talking about the electrical field, right? Electrocutions are a thing. They happen. God forbid, but they do happen. And it's something I think that probably most folks that are thinking of leaning into this trade have thought about. But it's, for me, I had to, tell my wife, look, I need you to get insurance on me. I need you to, I want to make sure that you all are taken care of in such a way, because I know that this is a much more dangerous type of job. So that's something to consider. Nobody wants to consider that, but it's important. I mean, one of the big things is that while you're doing this, you're going to have to be as careful as possible, because not only yourself but other people that are going to come into contact with the projects that you've worked on, things that you've installed, so forth. You're talking about their livelihood as well, their safety, and so really making sure that you're being on top of those things is super important. For a newbie coming in, it can be a little bit scary. I know it's scary for me, is that I'm dealing with things that are, of course, electrical. And we don't handle really active sites right now, at least the contract I'm with right now, we don't handle really active sites, but there's still so many other things that can go wrong, especially being on a construction site. So being very careful. I found another thing that I didn't really think about. It's like really watching around your area, that I didn't realize how much I would need to be watching what is on the ground in a construction site. I mean, obviously, that's like common sense, right? Just look around to where you are. But there's a lot of things that you don't think about that you take for granted. Machines that might be overhead, things that might be nails, obviously, in the ground, things that are laying down that you may not think about. What I found, at least, is just going slower. You're going to have to go a little bit slower. The young people, of course, they're racing around, they're doing what they're doing, but they also, as well, I have noticed, they have to slow down a bit and watch their own environment, watch the environment themselves. And some of the things I had to learn from them was like, hey, slow down, man, because I've been on a construction site before, on lots of occasions, old man, and you need to kind of watch out for what's on the ground. And so, that's something at least to consider. It sucks that you have to, you know, think about things like that, but it's important. Obviously, it's not even necessarily that sucks, but it's something you have to think about. Now, this one was a big one for me too. This was probably one of the harder things, and I kind of got into this in some videos before, but you're going to receive a lot of criticism. There's going to be a huge, well, what I'll talk about, what I've encountered from day one when I was hired on. Really, a couple of days later, my superintendent told me that, we normally don't hire anybody over 30 in this role as an apprentice. We just see it as you either aren't going to be teachable, or you're just not going to pick up things quickly enough, and that you're going to kind of be, you're going to be behind, probably more behind than they want you to be. So it's something to consider, is that there's going to be a lot of bias towards you. There's going to be a lot of young people that are going to, I've had the young guys who make fun of me, and it's like, it is what it is. You become a little bit isolated at times. So that part sucks, is that you really, really have to prove yourself as an older person, especially around young people. It is, like I said, it is what it is. I mean, I knew going in that this is going to be an issue, is that it's, hey, you've taken a long time to get here. The younger people, they were, they took the opportunity quickly. They made the decision quickly to come in this field. So I get it. And I understand having to learn from them as well. So it's something that sucks, but it is, like I said, it is what it is. You're learning from younger people. It's something that's new to you. So you gotta roll with it. It hurts at times to realize. It's like a lot of times you suddenly, when you're around a lot of young people doing the same type of job, you realize just how old and so much slower, the amount of how much slower you are now. You want to do things the way they're doing them, as quickly as they're doing them, but it's just the fact that they're younger and faster. So you've got to get prepared for that. What I think um, has helped me a little bit through this short period of time is that I'm beginning, and what I'm feeling is going to be my strategy with this is, as an older person, you do tend to be more accurate with things. For one, I'm always going to be on the site. I'm going to show up on time. I have my responsibilities, a little different than some of the younger kids. It's for these younger kids. So there's that reliability factor. And also I feel as if, and what I've been learning is that accuracy, it's going to be a huge one for me as an older person, is to make sure that, it might take me a little bit longer, but man, if it isn't done perfectly as it's been asked to be done, or as I've found over the course of the experience of doing these different projects that, over and over again. So that's a big one up, is that there's going to be, there's going to be some bias towards you. So be prepared for that. Also, another thing I wanted to bring up too is that it's not so much to the young people. You're also going to have to kind of face what the superintendent is going to think of. He's going to say, "You're old. You need to be able to understand the things that I'm giving you. You should be able to get this down even faster than young people because you have that experience." It may not necessarily be true, but that's something that you're going to have to be prepared for with the superintendent, with the journeyman, even the master for that matter. Masters. Um, in that, because they just see it as, look, I did this, I've been growing up in this for 30 years. You should have some experience at least to be able to handle a hand tool, to be able to just do simple things that a construction site calls for. And that may not be the case. So it is something that you have to really kind of be prepared for, is that superintendent, whoever your journeyman is, as an older person, they're going to expect you to know more than you may even know. So that's going to have to pick up with time. It needs to, from what I'm seeing, it needs to pick up pretty quickly. So there's that. So I just wanted to once again put that out there. I think I'll do one at least on the pros as well of this, of what I've been finding in my time as the old as the old man, trying to seek the journeyman path. But I wanted to make sure I wanted to make sure that I put that out there, is that there are some definite cons that I've been running across with this, and it's just part of it's going to be part of the trade, especially at this age. I don't. It's not something I think that should stop us as older people, but I think that it's something that needs to be um, explained. That needs to be discussed. But that's pretty much it from now. I just wanted to put that out there. Once again, if you have comments, if you agree with a lot of the cons that I mentioned, if you feel like there's even worse things that we as older people need to be prepared for going into the electrical trade, please comment. Like I said, I just want as much information as I can get as well. I'm sharing my short period of information, but I know there's people who've been, older people who've been in this trade for a while, as far as journeymen and masters, as well as there's people that you may be in your second, third, fourth year as an older person in this trade. I'd love to hear from you to understand some of your. I'll make sure that I'm responding to all of your comments, but just something that I wanted to put this out there. Like I said, it's a community. I want to know kind of more of what I'm getting into. Share your experiences, and where need be, I'd like to respond to you, and so we can have a real dialogue as a group about us old folks trying to keep some sort of pay coming in the midst of so many changes, technology wise. That's all I got.